Hi, my name is Dana Arnett, co-host of Wicked Marketing, along with my partner, Carlos Cepene. You can find more information about us and our business on LinkedIn, or if you have any questions, email us at info@wickedbionic.com. Subscribe to Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Dana. Welcome to our Wicked Marketing podcast. Normally, my business partner, Carlos, says, hello, this is Carlos, but he is not here because he is celebrating his grandmother's 97th birthday virtually today. But I am fortunate enough to have an amazing guest in our Marketing Luminaries series, and that's Marianne Ellis. She is the CEO and co-founder of CEO Success Community. She's a highly esteemed coach, speaker, and author. And we chose Marianne as our guest for Marketing Luminaries because of her 25-year career in marketing and advertising with truly some of the biggest agencies and brands. Marianne, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here this morning.
Oh, I'm just so happy. And, every time Marianne and I get to be coached by Marianne a lot because she teaches a lot of, I want to say classes, I guess, workshops, right? And I get to participate with Marianne, and I'm always so impressed at your history, your background. And we were just on a workshop, I think it was last week, and you were talking about Kia Motors when nobody knew Kia Motors. And tell everybody a little bit about who you are and your background, and just because I love the way that you say it better than me.
Well, this is scary because this definitely dates myself. But so just really quickly as a way of background, when I graduated from UCLA, I went right into the advertising business. And I was really thrilled to work for DDB, or at the time was called, I take it back, Needham, Harper, and Steers. So that was the first ad agency I worked for. They then merged with DDB and became DDB Needham, and then became DDB. And you know them today, big global advertising agency. So I don't want to date myself, but I probably clocked in almost 3 decades there. Oh. And I was an EVP and a COO. So you can name the category, and I'll tell you the brand I worked on. If you said automotive, I would say a Volkswagen, Audi, Kia, and the list goes on and on. The good news is, taking my advertising experience, I then thought I would retire, retirement number 1. Mm-hmm. And I was at lunch in Brentwood. And I was having a wonderful conversation with the CEO or co-CEO of Quigley Simpson, which is the largest woman-owned advertising agency. Gerald was one of my first clients, and they were certified by something called WeBank, which I'd never heard of. And I know you are also WeBank certified with Wicked Bionic.
Yes.
And they were looking how to best use their certification. And we made a bet at lunch. Could I help the team open the door and win the Allstate business? They've been pursuing it for 4 years. So taking my marketing background and my experience, I was able to help the team open the door, win the Allstate business, and then stuck around for 3 more years, worked with the wonderful team at Quigley Simpson, helping them win business. From there, I went over to the buy side, working with Russell Warworth External View Consulting. There we worked with a lot of major brands, Porsche, Brown-Forman, 23andMe, Panda Express, to be on the buy side. So I've had sell side, buy side.
Both sides, right.
I have my own business as a CEO Success Community, helping diversity CEOs protect and grow their business. And the reason I pause and say protect first is I got asked to help a women business owner who was giving away too much of her company via promissory notes with some evildoers that realized she was down on her luck and was having cash flow problems. So I thank goodness for my marketing background, and the word luminary. Woo, that's a big
well, come on, you just validated everything that I said at the beginning. So thank you for doing that. I have to ask you, just because, I started to work at 17 in the entertainment industry, not in marketing. And, when you're a kid, you're not really scared, right? You just like doing it, right? Did you ever experience a time in those early years where you were afraid? You're like, I don't know. Or were you just always really confident? Because you're so confident in your abilities and certainly your ability to help people and connect people. Did you ever have any fears?
I think the bottom line is, if anyone says they've never been scared, they're lying. They're absolutely lying. When I was in the traffic department making $800 a year, $9,600 annual salary, I worked for Needham Harper on the Honda Motors account. And I messed up a traffic order in the newspaper, and I thought for certain I was going to be fired, and I was shaking in my boots. So that would be afraid number one. Afraid number two was when I had the opportunity to interact with you. Want to talk about a marketing luminary? Keith Reinhardt, the CEO emeritus of DDB. I was in my early phase. I went from account executive to strategic planning. I think we were on that IBM course last Friday sponsored, and we were talking about strategic planning for business pivoting. Anyway, we were at a huge, big conference, and if you were VP and above, you were there. And I challenged our current strategic planning system at DDB at the time. And he said, that's a great idea. Can you and your team from DDB LA please stay after and present tomorrow? And that was really the trajectory of my career, always looking to innovate. So was I scared that I was going to flop? You bet, but we didn't.
And, isn't it true that we've all had, I remember when you said the traffic department, I was 23 or 24 and I was working for a public relations agency. And my boss said, this FedEx, we had syndication clients, had to get to New York in the morning. I'm like, I got it. She trusted me completely. And I packaged it up. Well, I get to work the next morning and the FedEx envelope is on my desk. And I'm like, oh, like you said, like that. Oh my God, no. And what was so crazy, and of course, I was so humiliated is really what it was. And I was so ashamed of myself. And my boss didn't say, I told her and I fixed it. And my boss didn't say anything to me. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, I said, so Julie, why didn't you fire me or ream me or whatever? She goes, because I saw what you were doing to yourself. I didn't need to say anything.
Wow, that is exactly
right.
I have to tell you, that is exactly what Don Katie said to me. He was in charge of the Honda account, or all the account executives at the time. And I believe the Honda business is still at Ruben Postere right now. And I think Bill Hagelstein is still in leadership position. So I remember Don saying, you've kicked yourself enough.
Yep. And I'll tell you, I still can tell you that story and feel the same panic when I see that FedEx in my mind, right? So it shows that, and it's made me, and I'm sure I know how you are as a leader, it's made me be kinder. Yes. Make sure that I'm paying attention to somebody's heart around things and how they're doing, I got to tell you, because I think it's so important for our listeners. When you did the Allstate account, you mentioned last week, you talked about how you just took a piece of the pie. You went after a piece of the pie because when you're an agency, you can't necessarily get the whole thing because maybe they have agencies. But can you give a quick overview of what you did? Because I think it's fascinating.
So I think once upon a time, there was something called agency of record. And I think many of us, that's what we were looking for. But the reality is the client already has somebody in your spot. So what you really need to create is what's called a test and prove. Give me a little piece and let me prove to you that we deserve the whole business. So at the time with Allstate, we did a test and prove on their media. We got a small portion away from the incumbent, and we were able to perform amazingly well. And based on that test and prove, they then wound up giving us the whole piece of the business. So I think the concept for your listener is, how can you kick the door open? How can you find something that you could prove to this relationship that you've been building, this client-prospect relationship, just to demonstrate to them that you are different and better than their current incumbent?
Right. Right. And that takes, I'll tell you, one of the things that you stressed and you really made me think, boy, I have to put a little more time into that, is the research to understand the company. Number one, am I even a good fit? Are they a client that I would feel good and feel like I could be of service? Or do I not even have anything that they're looking for? So I think people spend a lot of time, right, casting a wide net that might not even be their ideal client.
Well, I think that, matter of fact, it's interesting. HubSpot just came out with a survey this morning that said 40% of us did not meet our new business goals for 2020. And that's a pretty big number, and it's going to be even tougher going into 2021. So I think targeting is really important. Are you a good fit? Culturally, do you have the capabilities, the specs? I mean, I think you really have to take a hard look at who is currently servicing the business and do you look like them? And I think in the Allstate situation, we did our research. I've been tracking them. So I think a lot of you probably put Google alerts on any of the prospects that you're going after. And we got a Google alert that said Allstate was looking at reducing their budget by 20%. So when we flew into the meeting in Chicago that October, we had that data point. Also had checked LinkedIn, so found connections that we had to the CMO. And then sort of the third area that we looked at was the endorsement that we could use from a current client. So those are really important things for your listeners to keep in mind when they're prospecting.
I love it. Those are great suggestions. And it's funny because I listen to you and I know when we look at government and corporate contracting where so many of those things come into play. And the one piece that I was missing, and I think it's the learning to ask for help or for a recommendation, was I wasn't looking and seeing who knew the people that I was submitting a proposal to that could give us a good word. And I thought when you had brought that up before, I thought that is brilliant because I would do it for somebody else. I need to make sure. I mean, I think that's something we as, business people need to make sure that we're asking because people want to help. And the other thing you did, and this is so great because I don't remember, I kind of remember when Kia Motors was brand new. I'm like, what is that? But you really took Kia Motors and did something so creative. So I'm going to let you tell the story because it's wonderful.
Okay, so Kia Motors is a wonderful story, and we give complete credit to David Angelo and his firm. I mean, they are super brave. But at the very beginning of his company, there was we were able to support him as he was launching D&G. I'm sure most of you know about D&G. So in the very beginning, when they were looking at working with Kia Motors, we had a nice relationship, DDB and D&G. And at the time, they were looking at how to launch the Optima. So that was the car. And at the time, my gosh, you're going to have to really go back in your memory bank. And it's interesting because I also worked on Honda when we were at DD, which was Needham then, now is Ruben Poster. Boy, everybody's names change.
Wow.
Kia Motors, a lot of people didn't have confidence in the cars coming from Korea, which is shocking now when we look at what great products Hyundai and Kia do and their guarantees. But bottom line, at the time, we were trying to figure out how to launch the Optima, beautiful sedan that competed with Accord. And at the time, we had to come up with something really innovative because advertising alone was not going to drive them to the dealership, was not going to drive for a test drive. So we recommended a very innovative solution, which was bringing the cars to the malls back in the days when we went to malls. And the most important thing is the cars were they did a mall tour, put these beautiful Optimas in malls so that people could see the car, see the beautiful leather. And I was really thrilled to be part of a team led by David that worked on that. So that's a blast from the past.
Well, and you also said, the thing was like, bring it to them, right? If you can't get them to come to you, bring it to them. And I think you said something about they could have it for 24 hours or some other thing.
Competitors were allowed to do a test drive. This was in the mall so that they could see the beautiful quality of the car, the quality of the work. When I think back in my past, having been on the launch of ATMs, which bombed. So that was Crocker Bank launched ATMs.
What do you mean they bombed?
Nobody wanted to use them. They loved their teller. So part of being a strategic planner is knowing how to predict the future. And then you're going to break a lot of eggs before you can launch a new product. So hard to believe, but was also on the launch team for ATMs. But all of that allows me to bring that to my CEOs right now. At CEO Success Community, we have coached over 1,000 diversity CEOs, so it's small to mid-sized business. I'm proud to be a coach for Southern California Edison, for WeBank National, the largest certifier. Just recently won an RFP with Wells Fargo, IBM. So I'm thrilled to be out there and coaching and helping diversity small to mid-sized business owners.
What you do, Marianne, is so, and I know the people in your community, and it's so wonderful because I think it was such the natural progression that you took all your gifts, your experience, but also your personality and all your warmth and took that into being one-on-one and being parts of groups and bringing people together. Not only do you coach, but you bring people together, I think, in those masterminds and that experience, I mean, it must be, is it exciting to you to be a business owner and really blowing this thing up?
I would absolutely say that I am probably the biggest accidental entrepreneur ever. I went back to UCLA for my MDE in entrepreneurialism. And then I also went through Y Combinator out of Mountain View. So if you're not familiar with Y Combinator, they helped launch Airbnb and Dropbox. Very tough to get in. And so I went through that training, entrepreneurial training. And it helps me coach the CEOs. Just this morning, we were talking about business continuity plans. That is now going to be required by corporations after what we've gone through with the pandemic. So, I mean, continuity can be disrupted based on natural disasters, pandemics, power outages, cybersecurity. So those are the 4 areas. So we had a group of CEOs this morning, and we were talking about business continuity plans.
Excellent. And I think for our listeners, it's so deep but there's so much available to learn from, right? So you said about getting educated, right? So different entrepreneurial classes. I graduated from Goldman Sachs's 10,000 Small Businesses program, which is a free program, but there's so many things out there to research, and especially because we're home, most of us are home, right? To be able to look and see what's available that I can learn. And I think these courses the majority of courses are really, are legit, right? And they're above ground. They're teaching, like you said, how to have a business strategy or a plan or a marketing strategy, or there's so much available. And also, I always say, you don't want to be the best kept secret, right? So when you get involved in groups like WeBank, if you're a woman-owned business, or, Goldman Sachs, or any of the places that, is it Y Combinator?
Yeah, Y Combinator out of Mountain View. So it's one of the many incubators, VC. They're looking for VC funding. So they're looking for the next Dropbox, Airbnb. They put you through the paces. It is a free program. And then also you can go on their incubator round.
Was that incredible?
It was, I'm telling you, I had to throw away all my clothes, get a hoodie, look like Zuckerberg. It was a bunch of young guys hanging out in Mountain View, and Tuesday was teaching, and Thursday was listening from the best. So we met the gentleman who wrote the first line of code for Google. And it was absolutely amazing. I think I would close by, I wouldn't be here if there hadn't been a crying small business owner on the couch that I was able to help coach at a big conference. And I am glad to pay it back and pay it forward. We have RFP programs, Pivot, Business Innovation, and Get to the Buyer Sales Maximizer. So I'm glad to be of service.
Love it. And that's what you are. And that's what you do every day. And you've certainly helped me, Marianne. I do want to say one other thing as we have a couple minutes before we wrap up. You said something great too. And I think it's a great idea for business owners to do at the end of the year. And that was about asking clients for feedback. And you also put the big question ask. So just explain why you do it and why it's helpful.
So again, I'm going to give credit to Rick Carpenter, who is the president of DDB Los Angeles. He started the annual client satisfaction survey, and we would every year reach out to our clients with a document. And what was really important is it allowed them to give us feedback, for them to tell us what was most important. And then there was a critical question: what are we not doing for you that you wish we could do for you? And that always became a revenue accelerator for us. So an annual client satisfaction survey, really important, whether you do it in a phone call, whether you do it in a survey. The bottom line is do it. It's been a rough year this year, but listen to your clients.
Absolutely. And I think when you said it's a revenue generator, because what you're doing is you're planting a seed that we have more things that we can offer you. Hey, what is it that we're not giving? And, whether we give it or not, right, we'll say yes and figure out how to give it, how to provide that service, right? That's part of the entrepreneurial spirit. But I think that's so, so helpful because, there's a little fear, right? I think we talked about this. There's a little fear of like, oh, what if they say something? But you know what? We're business owners. We pull up our bootstraps and we adjust based upon that information. And I think that that's what's super, super helpful. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I want you to give your website and how people can reach you for CEO Success Community.
Absolutely. So our website is our name. So it's CEO. So just spell it out, CEOsuccesscommunity.com, just like it sounds. And we have a lot of programs, different tracks at different pricing. And our goal is, again, to protect and grow diversity CEOs focused on small to mid-sized business.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, you can't go wrong with working with Marianne and her team over there, because they support small businesses like I've never seen. And those, as I see your CEOs grow into mid-sized businesses, it just becomes better and better. And Marianne, I could not think of a better person to be one of our marketing.
And I would say if you need marketing and communication, contact Wicked Bionic. We've been really impressed to watch Dana and her team's growth. We've seen what you've done for the LA Library, for a lot of your clients. And again, I'll do a shout back to you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Marianne. Have a wonderful day. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening, and come back next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe to and share Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We are also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. See you next time. Thank you for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe to and share Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We are also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. See you next time.